Bottom nerd here with trying something different as far as you guys can see from camera to bottom thingamabob, which I'm gonna change this. Even I admit this looks fucking terrible, but because it actually, I just realized it overlays my beautiful banner. So actually, yeah, I'm gonna turn that shit off because I don't like that. Or at least, you know what? We're gonna do this together. We're gonna edit this to see if we can't do it together. So if I change this to the top and then I change that banner to bottom left, that looks better. I mean, it still looks like shit, but the important thing is I like that right down there. So now that you've all gone away, appreciate that one. I figured we would talk about pretty heavy movie that I just watched, and it was from 2025. There obviously has been movies before it with similar topics, but it's heavy as shit, and I 1000%, if you know me, if you know this channel, easily one of the best films, and I say that rarely and mean it. Nuremberg with Russell Crowe, and Mr. Robot. I forget his name, May something Relic or something. The guy who plays Mr. Robot. Yeah, they starred in this new rendition of Nuremberg, which came out in 2025, and it is, like I said, probably one of the greatest films I've ever seen. It's fact-based, and it is crazy heavy, as my description would say. Michael J. Fox, that is right. Yeah, I'm trying to remember, not Michael Jackson. It's been a minute. Anyway, it's just a fucking amazing film, and I highly encourage you to watch it. So much in the fact that I would give it easily 4 cups of tea out of 4 from yours truly, Spot of Nerds. So brace yourselves. We're gonna talk about it, but this ain't gonna be very positive. Just throwing it out there. So yeah, Nuremberg came out 2025. I think it was November or December. It was one of those, again, I'm sure we've all seen those movies, those trailers where you're like, I don't know if this is really something I want to go see in the theater. Or if anything, maybe this is just one of those movies. It's just a little bit too heavy for me. Don't really know if I want to go see it. And it is. Believe it or not, as weird as this sounds, I love the World War II era, the history behind it. And I know you might be thinking that's absolutely insane. Why would you enjoy some of the most greatest atrocities to mankind during those times? And it was absolutely disastrous. More lives were lost during World War II than in any point in human history. And it is insane what went on. It absolutely is insane. And the reasons behind it. We don't need to go down those reasons. But I am going to incorporate what is currently happening to what currently happened back then. Even that doesn't make any sense. But you get what I'm talking about. So first and foremost, if you're not familiar with the actual film itself, I thought I would play you guys the trailer here. So let me boot up this trailer and we'll just watch it and then we'll dissect it, or at least dissect the movie. So here we go.
Justice Jackson? They captured Herman Goring alive.
What are they going to do with him?
You are standing inside a secret military prison. It houses what's left of the Nazi high command.
See? Hey! Never do that in my prison again.
The governments of Russia, France, Great Britain, and our United States will put these men on trial for their lives.
It can't be done. There's no international law to base the charges on.
The world needs to know what these men did.
Dr. Kelly, Central Command thinks you're some kind of hotshot head shrinker. You will inspect and ensure the prisoner's mental health. The one you'll have to watch the closest is Goering.
was appointed Hitler's successor in 1939 and is the highest-ranking German military officer of all time.
He's highly intelligent.
Charming and a narcissist.
I am going to escape the hangman's noose.
Very sure of yourself.
No man has ever beaten me.
You want to know why it happened here? Because people let it happen.
Anything less than total victory will be considered utter defeat. You have to be flawless. I'm going to put Hermann Goering on the stand, and I'm going to make him tell the world what he did.
How are you going to defend yourself?
What would you have me say?
How about the truth for once?
I am a prisoner because you won and we lost.
Not because you're morally superior.
I know more about this man than anyone else on the planet. You're walking into a trap.
We are able to do away with domestic tyranny only when we make all men answerable to the law, so that it can never happen again.
Okay, so yeah, it was November of last year. So let's just dive right into it. So, spoilers, if you wish to know or don't know, I'm obviously going to go over that just here a little bit. But let's be honest, it's a history movie, so there's not really any spoilers. If you actually read a history book, it's already been spoiled for you. But to give you a kind of a overview, the entire film is based off of the Nuremberg trials. And if you're not familiar with those, I highly encourage you pick up a history book and you read about it, because it was the first time in human history where the world, no pun intended, got together and basically said, we need to put these men on trial, the ones that committed the most horrific atrocities during the war, on trial. Because again, human rights, civil rights, blah, 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 blah. Obviously, they could have just put a bullet in their heads, but at the end of the day, they needed to prove to the world, as in like the Allies, that these men are so horrifically evil that it can never happen again. Now, we don't need to go down the road of history and start going down examples of it repeating itself. I mean, look at what was Africa in the 70s or the 80s? Borderline similar examples. And then of course you look at today, you look at Gaza, blah 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 blah. And again, it's just things. Nothing will ever compare to it. And you even have to this day, I mean, my God, the roads we could go down. I know I'm probably going on 30 different ones right now. You have the ones that deny the Holocaust. You have the ones that still don't believe it ever happened. You don't believe some people don't believe the numbers that took place, blah, blah, blah. Some people poke fun at it now and like they think that's okay to do. And I'm one of those, if you know me, if you know this channel, to each his or her own. If you want to be a sadistic asshat, that's your call, because that's your God-given right. But don't expect people to just simply, I don't know, bow to you in relation to thinking that's okay. I mean, you look at Kanye right now, you look at the his music and things like that, and it's interesting. I know I'm going down a totally random path with you guys right now, but I was looking through kind of like some Myron Gaines quotes and some of the spiels that he's done, and even Nick Fuentes, and there's a little part of you that kind of agrees with what they're saying in terms of you need to get the song out. Obviously, he's been banned everywhere. His music, that specific song has been banned, yada, 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 and for obvious reasons. But at the same time, should it be? Because again, we're just giving it more power, no pun intended, metaphorically speaking. So should that music be out? That's not for me to say, but I also kind of see where they're coming from in relation to, well, if you're just banning it, you're just giving it more power, aka the words Hitler, the words Nazi, the words fascist, everything in between. You're just giving it more power. But again, you can flip the script as well, where if you look at today with ICE, you look at Trump, you look at the politics of today. If I had $1 for every time I was called a Nazi, I wouldn't have to work anymore. It's literally to that point. It just doesn't have any meaning anymore. I don't mean that obviously in a literal sense. I just mean it in a context where it is ICE deportations, illegal immigration, blah, 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 blah. What this whole film is about, though, again, is the impact and the sheer human power, I would say, around this trial that the entire world watched after what it had already gone through to be one of the greatest tragedies yet victories in human history, World War II. Obviously, this happened. I think it took place in 1945, 1946. So they did it immediately after the war ended. And I think it was about 20 to 100 people, these soldiers, SS, blah, blah, blah. And it's obviously centered around Russell Crowe's character who plays what was his name? I forgot. It's a German name, obviously. So let me pull up the cast here so you guys can see it. Bear with me here for a second. Because this is important. Jokes aside, I do think this is important. So here you got the cast. And yeah, so the entire film is obviously the Nuremberg trials, but it's based off of Russell Crowe, who plays Hermann Göring. Cliff notes, he was the second in command. If Hitler didn't off himself, that guy was going to take over. Obviously, that's it, Rami Malek. He plays Douglas Kelly, who was a psychiatrist who basically had to go in and see if these guys, these Nazi, higher ups, were they actually sane enough to be put on trial? Or, was it suicide and this and that? And some of them did get through, let's be honest. I mean, if you want a big spoiler here, I mean, again, it's in the history books. Goring, he did say, "You will never hang me by a noose," and that's facts because he actually was able to slip in the prison cells a cyanide capsule. So he did technically beat, quote unquote, the system, even though he was proven guilty. He obviously was able to bypass it all and prove to Douglas Kelly's character, Rami Malek's character, that I will win this, even though he obviously ended up in the dying. But again, that's for history. So it's one of those movies that it has for me, it has an impact of just weight and heaviness. I know I keep going back to that because, again, it's one of those films that took place in reality. It's based off of facts. This isn't fiction. This actually happened, and my lights are tweaking out, so I apologize. And I always come to think about what's going on in the world today. And I just think about the comparisons of, like, you look back during that time frame and even the trailer, they said, we want to make sure that this never happens again. But it does. It just happens in different ways, in different forms. And I look at it even just today, and you see just ICE as an example. You look at these cities where, quote unquote, a certain demographic is trying to get involved with ICE, shall we say, harming themselves, harming their families. And they don't have a clue why. They're defending illegal rapists and criminals, but we've become so bored in society, and we've become so mind absorbed with what our telephones are saying and what our social media is saying, what the algorithm is telling you, that we don't even think for a second to step back and go, hold on a second, what am I doing here? What's going on right now? And that's the reality of it when it comes to that time frame during the 1940s, when Hitler rose and he took power, and he basically took Germany part 2 and said, we're going to rule the world. And it boggles my mind, the fact that you had people. I did a review on it, actually. I'll pull up my page here for just a second. I encourage you guys not only to watch my review, but to also watch this series. There's a show called We Were the Lucky Ones. And The Zone of Interest, that's what I remember. The Zone of Interest was a movie, and We Were the Lucky Ones was a television series. Incredible movie, incredible series. The movie was based on a Nazi soldier that lived literally right next to a concentration camp. And, he would just be having his afternoon tea, and you could hear the screams. You could hear the horror that was going on not 50 yards away from his home. And yet he's just living life like normal. And then you watch this show where, as you can imagine, during that time frame, these people, if you were Jewish, you were rounded up, you had your churches burned, you had this, you were killed just for having that faith, you had your stars, blah 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 blah. And then like I keep going back to it, start thinking about that shit today. Vaccine cards. If you have an opposing viewpoint, you get taken down. You had sitting presidents removed from social media. Everything is attack, attack, attack if you don't have our certain viewpoint, or viewpoints, plural. Don't even get me started on the quote unquote New World Order that does exist, especially because if you look at COVID, and I am so not afraid to say this out loud, that was a test run of what's to come. And I pray to God, whatever part two is in relation to COVID, people really do look back and go, nope, fuck that. We are not doing that again. I fucking pray to God that fucking humanity has some sort of semblance left in their brain to realize, fuck that, if you ever think we're going to do that again. But I know I'm going off 1,000 different tangents in relation to, well, why aren't you talking about this movie? It's because this movie makes you think about everything else, and it makes you realize humans just repeat history. It just is in a different form. And I know I'm a broken record, as Spartan is what we do. But ultimately, what I would tell you is watch this movie, and I would even go as far as to tell you, and I know this is a big ask, but if you want to go farther in these Nuremberg trials in relation to history books and blah 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 blah, I would almost encourage you to go online and watch the videos that were played during the actual trials themselves, like the Nuremberg trials. So these videos are of American soldiers that obviously got to those concentration camps, broke them free, blah, 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 blah. And I'll tell you what, if you want to see what humanity is capable of, watch that video. Videos, plural. Because there's not enough words in the English language to describe the evil that took place during that time. And again, I'm not here to tell you what to believe or what to not to believe in that regard. I'm simply telling you, watch those clips and then tell me, yeah, you know what? My life ain't so bad. You know what I mean? Like, let's be very clear about that. So again, this Nuremberg film is based off of the psychiatry of all of it. You know, you have these evil guys. You have Russell Crowe, who is the second in command of the Nazi regime, and he's obviously been captured. He is trying to prove his own innocence. He tries to play dumb. Rami Malek, character who was a psychiatrist, he obviously did some stupid shit. He obviously leaked it to the press. The press got wind of it. There were some shenanigans that went on, but ultimately, when the trial ended, he wrote a book to kind of warn people this very same evil exists everywhere on the planet. And that's kind of where I'm going to, is it does exist here, even in America. It exists in Europe. It exists in South America. That type of evil that made the Holocaust take place, it exists to this day and exists everywhere, because it all comes down to one thing and one thing only: power. Whoever has the power controls the narrative. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Almost like what the media is consistently telling you: Trump bad, Trump bad, Trump bad, Nazi, Nazi, bigot, bigot, racist, 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 racist. Does it ring a bell? Sounds kind of familiar to what happened back in those days, doesn't it? So if we don't start speaking out more, I've said this 1,000 times on this channel, and I will say it 1,000 times more, we will go down a similar road to what took place. And we will probably have another Nuremberg trial of some sort in 20, 30 years from now, going, man, if we only saw it coming. Well, guess what? We do see it coming now. And I hope you do, because, I mean, simple things like your phone. There's so much more truth and facts now that can be seen and shown. Sure, there's AI. Sure, there's fake news. Sure, there's media, brainwashing, mind control, blah, 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 blah. But eventually, you got to look what's in front of you and go, yeah, maybe what they're showing me isn't the facts. Maybe I should go do my own research, and maybe I should figure it out. For what? Myself. Crazy concept, I know. So anyway, I know we haven't really talked about the movie too much, other than the fact that, again, it speaks for itself. It's just an incredible film. It keeps you going. It's 2 hours. I would highly, highly, highly recommend it. Keep something positive in the background, like, afterwards, maybe go watch Thomas the Tank Engine or something, because they do show you those clips. Not all of them, but some of those clips during the film, during the trial. It's hard to watch. I will not afraid to say that it is very hard to watch, but that shit took place, and that's God forbid it ever takes place again. So check it out. Appreciate you guys listening, watching, hopefully, following. Give me the likes, subscribes, comments. And I think that's about it. Yeah, so eventually we're going to get back to gaming, and then we're also going to talk about the Mall Shadow Lord coming out, which looks pretty sick. So a little bit more upbeat, a little bit more enlightening, shall we say. But yeah, anyway, Nuremberg, fantastic, amazing. Go check it out. And I think that's about it, right? Yeah, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Later, y'all.